Get it? What if I told you one of the most physically gifted quarterbacks in college football in 2026 is only QB8? And what if I told you the difference between QB8 and QB1 came down to one thing: processing? What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. I'm Draft Yoda. We're data-driven and prospect-focused. As always, I am Draft Yoda himself, Bill Workman, your favorite draft nerd's favorite draft nerd. And today we're talking about one of the most polarizing quarterback prospects in the entire 2027 NFL Draft. South Carolina quarterback LaNorris Sellers. Currently, I've got Sellers as a 9.10 on my 10-point scale, making him the number 27 overall prospect and my quarterback 8 going into the season. Now, before South Carolina fans get mad at me, hear me out. Because this isn't a ranking based on talent. If we were talking pure physical tools, Sellers might be one of the most gifted quarterbacks in college football. 6'3", 240 pounds, elite straight line speed, powerful arm. The conversation has been around him being a mixture of Cam Newton and Michael Vick. He has the ability to break tackles like a running back. Those aren't normal quarterback traits. Those are NFL traits. The problem isn't his traits. The problem is that playing quarterback isn't just about talent. It's about processing. And that's what makes LaNorris Sellers one of the most fascinating evaluations on the board and one of the most watchable quarterbacks going into the season. Today, people look at him as one of the biggest names in the SEC, but that wasn't always the case. Coming out of South Florence High School, Sellers was dominant. He led his team to a state championship, threw for 3,000 yards, had a 45-2 touchdown interception ratio, added another 1,300 rushing yards, scored more than 17 more touchdowns on the ground. He had video game level production. And yet South Carolina didn't even offer him until midway through his senior season. Think about that. The future starting quarterback for the Gamecocks almost slipped through their fingers. Fortunately for them, they eventually realized what they had, and Sellers stayed home in South Carolina. After sitting behind Rattler and learning the system, Sellers took over in 2024 and immediately looked like a future star. 6 straight wins to finish off the season, SEC Freshman of the Year, over 2,500 passing yards, 18 touchdowns, another 674 rushing yards. I believe that was a school record at quarterback at the time as well. At that point, people were talking about him as a future first-round pick. Some were even discussing him as a future number 1 overall candidate, and the hype was real. And honestly, it was deserved. But then 2025 happened, and things got complicated. South Carolina went 4-8. The offense regressed, the passing numbers dipped, the rushing numbers cratered, the explosive plays disappeared, and suddenly the player who looked like a rising superstar looked stuck in the mud. His completion percentage dropped below 61%. His touchdown production fell. The turnovers increased. And perhaps the most concerning, the sacks started piling up. 40 sacks. 4-0. 40. It's a massive number. Some of that belongs on the offensive line, but not all of it. Let's get into some of the things I love about him. First thing I love is the physical profile. There simply aren't many quarterbacks that are built like this. 240 pounds. Sellers looks more like a linebacker than a quarterback. I said earlier, Cam Newton, but runs like Mike Vick. He is built like Cam Newton. And he has legitimate speed like Michael Vick. And defenders bounce off of him. Pass rushers struggle to bring him down. And when the play breaks down, he becomes a serious problem. Look back to the Clemson game. He won that game because everything broke down and he became a problem with his legs. Second thing I love about him is his arm talent. Sellers can throw every freaking throw. Deep shots, boundary throws, cross-field concepts, and vertical routes. He's got more than enough arm strength to challenge at every level of the defense and to drill the ball in there. One thing that sets him apart is his deep ball touch. I don't think that gets talked about enough. He doesn't just throw the ball deep. He throws the ball deep very accurately. There are multiple examples on tape where he drops passes 50 yards downfield directly into a receiver's hands, and that is a rare skill. I started this with a little doom and gloom, so let me brighten your sails a little bit. The one reason I'm not panicked about the 2025 season is how Sellers finished. The final 3 games, 901 yards passing, 6 touchdowns. The decision-making improved. He got into a better rhythm. He found his confidence. And that's important because it suggests he wasn't broken. It suggests he was adapting, learning, and growing to the system they put him in. And that matters when you're evaluating young quarterbacks. But let's talk about the elephant in the room. That's processing. The entire evaluation, if Sellers was able to process faster, everything improves. The completion percentage improves, the sack numbers improve, the turnover numbers improve, the offense improves. Too often, he looked at his first read and never looked away. Too often, he waited instead of anticipating, and too often the ball came out late. At the college level, that's frustrating. At the NFL level, that gets people killed. And it's a hurdle he has to clear. Another hurdle he needs to clear is the sack problem. 40 sacks is not an accident. Some quarterbacks create pressure for themselves, and occasionally Sellers fell into that category. He trusts his athleticism so much that he believes he can escape everything. And hey, sometimes he can. But that also means sometimes he can't. And as a result, there were unnecessary negative plays. If he can learn when to abandon a play and when to push to continue to play, it's going to be one of the biggest things he can learn for the progression of his career. There's a piece that matters that we haven't talked about yet, and that's Kendal Briles. His offense could be exactly what Sellers needs. Briles consistently built systems around athletic quarterbacks for quick reads, defined concepts, vertical shots, quarterback movement. Everything in that offense should help speed up Sellers' decision-making process. Truly, if there's a coach positioned to unlock his potential, I believe Kendal Briles is near the top of that list. The reason I'm still high on Sellers is simple. You can't teach what he already has. You can't teach size. You can't teach speed. You can't teach arm strength. And you can't teach natural playmaking ability. Those are all gifts from God. He needs refinement. He really does. He needs refinement and he needs to be coachable. If he can prove to be both of those, then he can turn from a lump of coal into a bright diamond. let's talk about the biggest question. Can he make the jump? Absolutely, he can make the jump. He can climb into the top QB rankings. He's one of the few quarterbacks on my board capable of making such a massive leap because the tools are there. The flashes are there. The late season improvement is there. If the processing improves under Briles, this ranking changes dramatically because the physical gifts are good enough to compete with anyone in the country. I currently have him as a 9.1 out of 10. My number 27 overall prospect, number 8 quarterback in the country. And he's truly one of the most intriguing quarterback evaluations in this entire class. I think he's a future NFL player. I think he's one of the most talented quarterbacks in college football. And I think 2026 will determine whether he's simply a fascinating prospect or a future star. 2026 will decide if he goes the Cam Newton route or if he goes the Tim Tebow route, where you're just a great college player, one of the best. Or can you be an NFL MVP? What's the decision? Because the tools are there. The processing has to catch up. But that's my board, Do you think LaNorris Sellers is ranked too low? Do you think Kendal Briles can, unlock his full potential? Where would you have him ranked above the quarterbacks? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy these player evaluations, we build them around film and analytics. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, because we're going to keep putting in the work. We're going to get to 100 prospects before college football kicks off. I am Draft Yoda, Bill Workman, your favorite draft nerd's favorite draft nerd, and we will see you guys in the next one.